Hi, friends. My name is Host Eric. I'm the host of Talking with Famous People and the world's best typologist. Certainly, I'm the person who's most correct about typology, and I'm going to articulate all the basics of it as quickly as I can here in what's called the function mechanics bullet points. So, there's one prime directive that's to close the gap between expectations and realities. People don't like being surprised. To the extent that they enjoy surprises because they anticipate being surprised, like going to a horror movie or something. It's important we have a single prime directive because it explains why, there are configurations and what those configurations are. They are strategies towards attaining the prime directive. And all of attention can be understood through some dichotomy of expectations and reality. There are two frames of attention, communicative and experiential. Communication is what I'm doing now. Experience is like, getting in the bath. Two expressions of time. Real-time functions are those for which the native aspect is experience, and turn-based functions are those for which the native aspect is communication. There are additionally two aspects to each function, a native and non-native. So a communication function is natively communicative and non-natively experiential, but they can express in both fields of frames of attention. There are two kinds of function values, absolute and instrumental. The odd-numbered functions are absolute values. That means they're an end in itself. And the instrumental values are 2, 4, 6, 8, the even-numbered functions, and they are functions you perceive as purposeful to an end and not an end in themselves. There are 4 fields of attention. That's to say, there are 4 places where people can pay attention. External experiential, that's stuff in the world. External communicative, that's what I'm doing right now, communicating out onto the internet could be considered the external metaphysical or communication field. Internal experiential, that's if you have like a stomachache or something. Internal communicative, that's when you're thinking things in your head but you're not saying them out loud. There are 4 directions of attention. You can put information, get information, receive information, and then you can interface or put receive information. So right now I'm just putting information, but when I'm talking with somebody, then there's an interface going on. I'm having to put and receive concurrently. The receiving occurs while I'm putting. It doesn't occur after I'm done putting, as it will in this video where I'll get comments or what have you. There are 4 manners of attention: knowledge, deliberation, interface, and action. Your knowledge functions are introverted sensing and introverted intuition. The deliberation functions are introverted thinking and introverted feeling. Interface functions are extroverted thinking and extroverted feeling. Action functions are extroverted sensing and extroverted intuition. So the action functions are paired with deliberation functions because that kind of action is assuming a turn-based kind of reality, such that I'll be able to complete this action before anything changes, and you'll have comments, and then that'll be your turn, and then if I want to respond to them, it'll be my turn, like that. Accordingly, extroverted intuition and introverted thinking, in either order, are going to be your most turn-based because they are both communication functions and they're both predicated on the kind of action that allows you to take turns. Extroverted sensing, introverted thinking will be a little bit less so because extroverted sensing is an experiential function. Nevertheless, it's an action-taking function that presumes one can complete the action uninterrupted by interface. The interfacers, in contrast, they're still forms of action and epistemology, right? Of ways of knowing things and ways of doing things. So interface knowledge is action that requires a dynamic, ongoing engagement with a thing, like a conversation, rather than like this. There are 8 cognitive functions. 4 of them are epistemics, introverted sensing and introverted intuition, and introverted thinking and introverted feeling, ways of knowing and deciding things. And the difference between them is knowledge is instantaneous, whereas deliberation takes time. And then there are expressions of self, let's say externalizations. Those are extroverted thinking, extroverted feeling, or your interface ones, and extroverted sensing and extroverted intuition are your regular action ones. Therefore, there are 16 total configurations because there are 16 total possible pairings of the first 2 functions, given the fact that action has to go with deliberation and interface has to go with knowledge. And accordingly, there are 4 deliberators, the FI DOMs and the TI DOMs, that's I, X, X, P in MBTI terms. 4 actors, that's EXXP, that's both your NE DOMs, both your SE DOMs. 4 knowers, IXXJ, that's both your SI DOMs, ISTJ, ISFJ, and both your NI DOMs, INTJ and INFJ. And there are, of course, 4 interfacers, EXXJ, that's ESFJ, ENFJ, ENTJ, and ESTJ. So this sums up pretty much everything you need to know to understand cognitive functions correctly from a mechanics standpoint. I didn't justify anything here in this video. I didn't explain why it's this way and not some other way. But I did articulate everything that I know about the mechanics of, well, not absolutely everything. I left out some complicated stuff, like needlessly complicating realities, needfully complicating, but unfortunately complicating realities, such as how a person might have an absolute value for, say, the native aspect of a function, but hold it as an instrumental value in its non-native aspect. And that would be the case in your 4th slot function. I didn't really want to go into that because it makes things more complicated, but this is the gist of it, right? There's not really anything else you need to know about function mechanics. And if there's anything else been going on, like 4 sides of the mind, or your shadow self, or other bullshit concepts like that, I didn't go into unconscious, conscious. That's something I should have included here. There are 2 relationships to a function, unconscious or conscious, and essentially we define conscious as the more able you are to remember paying attention in that fashion, instances of paying attention in that fashion, the more likely you are, the more conscious the function is. And the less able you are to remember instances of it, the less conscious the function is. So that's it for my cognitive function meagity mew. And it's been a while since I've done this. I've done this video before, but this one I thought might as well just upload. It's been a while.